Welcome, welcome. This is Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor, and I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. Today on the podcast, we are talking about one of my least favorite topics, and that is content creation. When I was starting my business, I got swept up in Instagram fever and thinking I had to be on Instagram. I had to make reels so that the videos would get pushed out by the algorithm to all the people out there in the ether. And I thought that that's what I had to do. I thought that I had to get more views, I had to get more engagement. And I quickly got very frustrated because I was glued to my phone. I was recording video all the time for B-roll. And I hated coming up with ideas for posts and things to write on top of the B-roll videos and all that. And I'm telling you, my friends, this is the quickest way to burn out. And it is also not very effective when you are running an academic business like what we do, what I do, what you do, what you want to do. It's, if you are an influencer, if you are somebody who teaches people how to post on Instagram, yeah, maybe this is the way to go about growing your audience and getting more clients. But for us, I don't think it's effective. And so today I am going to share with you a different approach. And I think that approach draws on your strengths as an academic, as a writer, as a thought leader. And most importantly, it's also an approach that systematizes the creation of content and gives you a plan that is sustainable, that you can do regularly and consistently without draining your energy. So let's dive in.
Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor, the podcast. I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. In 2019, I was a political science professor who was fed up with the stress and hostility of academia, not to mention the low pay. I left my tenure-track job and went from barely surviving to thriving as a freelance academic editor. Today, I own Acadia Editing Services, an editing and coaching business that brings in 6 figures a year. In this podcast, I'll discuss the challenges of academia, what academic editing involves, and what life as a freelancer looks like. If you're willing to jump outside your comfort zone, it is possible to find joy, true flexibility, and a profitable and rewarding career as an academic editor. Thanks for listening.
For the purposes of this episode, and just for the simplicity of explaining all of this, I'm going to assume that for your content, you are going to write one blog article per week. And from each article, you are going to develop 3 to 4 social media posts per week. So you're coming up with one blog article that you release each week, and alongside that, during the week, you'll post 3 to 4 times on the social media platform of your choice. I'm going to assume it's LinkedIn, but it doesn't have to be. It's totally up to you where you want to spend your time on the internet and where you think your ideal clients are spending their time on the internet. So that's the background here. I think you'll see, though, the system and the strategy I'm putting forward here can be adjusted to whatever schedule you want to have. Maybe you post only one article a month or something like that. So just consider this an illustrative example, and let's dive in here. Step 1 is to brainstorm topics. Okay. So as you are sitting down to start your content prep for the month, I want you to think about what questions are your ideal clients Googling. Think about the problems that they are facing, the challenges that they are facing. What are the things that are keeping them up at night when they're laying in bed Googling for a solution? Are they thinking, how do I write my lit review chapter for my dissertation? How do I create a presentation for a conference, for an academic conference? How do I deal with a with an abusive supervisor, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that you work with them on and whatever problems you help them solve, think about how they are wording those questions in Google. Now, as you do that, I want you to draft a list in a Google Doc or a Word file or whatever. Come up with 5 to 10 questions or topics like this. Then I want you to choose your favorite four. Okay, so come up with a list of 5 to 10. Choose the top four that you want to write about for this month because those four questions or topics are going to become the topics for each article, blog article that you release on your website in this upcoming month that we're prepping for. Okay? So you come up with a list of topics. Of course, the reason why I tell you to think about what people are Googling is because you want to improve your website's SEO or search engine optimization. And I'll talk about this more in a bit, but leading each blog article or titling each blog article with the question that people are searching for is a really helpful way to help you get found online. Okay, step 2, draft your blog articles. Now, maybe you take an hour on your first day or at the end of the day or whatever you want to do this, and that's when you make the list of topics or questions. And that's when you get your brain starting to work on these ideas. Then maybe you take another day and a big chunk of time and you sit down in this second step here and you write all four of those articles. I know that that sounds like a lot of work, but you are only going to write about 1,000 to 1,500 words at the most for each article. These should be very short, right? If you are an academic, you should be able to write that very quickly. We're used to writing much more content than that. And as you are sitting down to write your first draft of each article, that's exactly what these are. These are just a first draft. They don't have to be perfect at this point. So open up that Google Doc with your list of topics, start writing each article, get down 1,000 or so words where you answer the question that you've posed in that title as the topic of that blog article. Okay. Once you've written each of those articles, I want you to go back through each one and add or insert subheadings, maybe 2 to 3 throughout the article to break up that text. The reason that we do this is, again, to support search engine optimization or SEO, right? The first thing I mentioned is that if you phrase the title of an article as a question that people are Googling, that will help you get found, okay? Then, as you insert these subheadings throughout each article, you want to use key phrases that you think those people might also be Googling. And by putting these into each article as a subheading, so you format those headings using the H2 or H3 tags in your website software or whatever you're using, WordPress, whatever you're using. And that tells the internet and Google what your article is about. So you want to pay close attention to those subheadings. Of course, the caveat here is all of this should make sense as you read it. We shouldn't just be writing to please Google. We should be writing a quality article with headings that clearly make sense and guide people as they read through the article. But you can do that in a way where you are also mindful of using key terms that people might be searching for. So, for example, if you are writing a blog article about how do I draft my literature review chapter in my dissertation, something like that. Maybe your subheadings are something like synthesize the research or Maybe you say something like write an annotated bibliography, or maybe then you say group the authors by themes of their research, or whatever it is, whatever these tips are that you're giving the reader and how to write their literature review chapter. Each, maybe it's a 3-step framework that you're offering. Each of those steps could be a subheading in the article, and you phrase them using those keywords or key phrases that people might also be searching for. So again, draft the article, then go back and insert these headings throughout the article to help the article flow, to help guide people, and also to help improve your SEO. If you want to take a deeper dive into SEO, go look up episode 39 of my podcast. In episode 39, I interview Laura Jawad, who is a PhD, a former oceanographer, and now she is an SEO expert. And she gives some really helpful tips on how you can do this work in your own blogging. Again, you've drafted these 4 articles. They don't have to be perfect. You can go back and edit them another day before you post them. They can just be rough drafts, but the idea is that they're done. Okay. Why do I tell you to write all 4 at the same time? The reason that I suggest that you sit down in one session to come up with your topics, then sit down in another session to draft all 4 articles, and then the next step, which will be coming up with your social media posts, is because we want to avoid task switching. I'm sure you've heard of this before, but if you think about it, if you sit down and you come up with one topic and then you write the article and then you come up with social media posts and then you schedule them to be posted, go through all the steps that I'm going to keep walking you through, you're task switching. You're having to change the way that you are thinking about the work and changing the type of work that you're doing. And that is going to wear you out. Okay. So if you sit down in one session and come up with the topics, you can do that easily in 30 minutes. Set a timer to limit yourself so you don't try to make it all perfect and waste too much time. Then set a timer for 2 hours to write your 4 articles. Maybe you do it on another day or something, but you write them all together, 30 minutes per article. You can do that. Then you go on to the next task, which is step 3, which is repurposing the blog articles into social media posts. And you create all of your social media posts together. Your brain is able to focus on different types of tasks, topic brainstorming, then blog article writing as a long form type of content, then social media posts, all short form content, right? I'm sure you've heard of this task switching argument before, but it really helps to ease this process for you to reduce the amount of mental energy that it takes for you to do this. Okay, so let's go on then to that step 3, repurposing. Maybe you do this in the same day, maybe you do it a different day. I don't know. I don't know your schedule, but you're breaking it up here, okay? So you start with your first blog post. Maybe it's the one about how to write a literature review. And from that post, I want you to extract 3 to 4 excerpts or 3 to 4 ideas from that particular article. And those excerpts, you can literally copy and paste from the article. You can paraphrase, whatever you want to do. Those become your social media posts for the week that you publish the blog article. So let's say we take week 1 in the month. We are going to schedule our blog article about the lit review to be published that week on our website. And we are going to release one post on a Monday, one on a Wednesday, and one on a Friday. And all of those posts are going to be related to and drawn from the blog article that you wrote and published. Again, you can do this on LinkedIn, you can do this on Instagram, whatever it is that makes you happy, that you enjoy using. You don't have to be everywhere all at once. Choose the platform where you think your ideal clients are and plan to be consistent on that particular platform. Okay. Let me walk you through an example here. So let's say that you've written your blog article on how to write a lit review, and you're going to pull out these excerpts of text from that article to draft as LinkedIn posts. Maybe the first one that you schedule for that Monday is 3 tips to write your literature review chapter. And you just pull out the same 3 tips that you included in the blog article and you make that into a LinkedIn post. Then you go to Wednesday's post and you say, maybe you want to delve deeper into one of those particular tips. What does it mean to synthesize the literature? And you write a little LinkedIn post that delves bit deeper into that particular tip. And you draw from or copy and paste from the actual blog article. So you're not having to write all new content for these posts. You're just repurposing it. You're editing it to make it sound like a LinkedIn post if you need to. Maybe you don't even need to. And then you pick your third excerpt or your third topic from the blog article and you use that for Friday's post, right? And there you have it. You have now, within just a few hours of work, you have 4 blog articles. You have the corresponding social media posts that go along with them. And you could take a little break here. Your brain is probably fried at this point, but you have a month's worth of content created, or at least in its initial draft. Okay. Now, if you have an email list, and you should, the last piece of content that you would want to create here is to draft a very brief email that summarizes what someone can expect to read in this week's blog article. So you would write one email for each blog article, again, repurposing that content, but into email form to your list. Now, a note about AI. I know that a lot of people don't like it. Obviously, there are a lot of reasons why it's problematic. But if you use it, it can be really helpful in repurposing this content for you. So, no, I do not recommend that you have AI write your blog articles for you. But let's say that you pull up your Google Doc, you write your 4 articles, and then one by one you drop it into ChatGPT, or for writing, I really like Claude. I think it's a much better writer than ChatGPT is, but whatever you want to do, you can use the free plans. Drop in each article or drop in all 4 and tell it these are 4 blog articles that I've written, and I want to repurpose each one into 3 social media posts that are related to the article. Let's take each one in turn. So it'll by you putting your blog article into the chat, it will learn your writing style. If you want to, you can also tell it who your ideal clients are, what platform you're going to use, and any other helpful information like that. Okay. So you can tell it, I want you to take this first article and create 3 LinkedIn posts that will summarize what the article is about or highlight a key point from the article, and will also encourage my ideal clients to contact me to inquire about my services. So at the end of each post, you can include a call to action. This will help this step of repurposing content, this step 3 in this process, to go a lot faster. And as you use Chat or Claude more, it will learn your style and your writing tone and all of that. And it will be much easier for you to get through this. If you don't want to do it, totally fine, up to you. But at this point in the conversation, you should have your 4 articles for next month. You should have at least 3 LinkedIn posts for each article, and you should have an email to your list. I want to make one last point on this step before we go to step 4, where we schedule these posts to be published. And that is, you're probably thinking, Paulina, if I release a blog article about how to write a lit review chapter, and then I release 3 posts a week on that, or 3 posts this week on that topic, and I email my list, people are going to think I'm crazy because all I do is talk about literature reviews. It might feel that way from your perspective because you are the one who's writing and talking about and posting all this stuff. But something that you need to understand is that only a tiny fraction of your audience on social media is going to see any particular post that you put up there. We're talking 3 to 5% of your followers are going to see any particular post. Okay. So by posting and reposting about the same topic, again, you're not making the same post, you're just saying more about the same topic that week. You're not, no one's going to see all of those posts unless they go to your profile and scroll through and see the post. But if they're going to your profile, that's a good sign because they probably will contact you and hire you. So don't, it's important to understand that this feeling, what you're experiencing, is normal when it comes to marketing your business. You are going to have to talk about your services or your program or your course or whatever you're selling until you are blue in the face. And it is going to be annoying and you're going to get tired of it, but that is just the way that it goes. So make sure you really love what you do and you love what you're selling because you're going to have to talk about it a lot. Okay. So just trust me, it's normal. No one's going to see all of them. No one's going to think you're obsessed with literature reviews. It's going to be fine. I also think it's helpful to think about these social media posts as being like a marketing scientist. So every time you make a post on LinkedIn or you send out a post on Threads or on Blue Sky or Instagram or whatever, it is a form of experimentation. You are putting out a signal, you are putting out a topic that you're talking about, and you're seeing if it resonates with people. Okay, so you're putting out a signal and you're seeing if people are getting that signal and if it means anything to them, if they react to it. And I'll say more about engagement and likes and all that stuff in a minute because I have some strong thoughts on that. But think of this as testing, right? Maybe you're coming back to that literature review example. You are writing an article, a blog article about how to draft your lit review chapter. And maybe in your social media post, you're emphasizing different points or you're taking a different approach to talking about how to write a literature review. Maybe the first LinkedIn post is about how confusing it is to have to do this because nobody ever really teaches us very well how to do it, right? That's sort of a pain point angle. Maybe in another post, your Wednesday post, you're talking about how you're giving tips, right? It's an educational angle. So you're teaching your audience how to simplify this process, how to do it without getting burnt out. And then maybe your third post for the week that you put on Friday is more of a sales pitch. And you talk about how hard it is to write a literature review, but wait, there's help out there. I'm an editor, I can help you. I'm a coach, I can help you. DM me to get on my schedule and let's have a discovery call or whatever, right? So you are putting out these little signals that are all about the same topic, but they're framed in different ways. They're emphasizing or highlighting different angles to this topic. And you're seeing what works, right? And you do this over time, week after week, month after month, and you get a sense of what resonates with your people and what inspires them to book a call with you or to send you a DM and hire you. Because again, ultimately, this is what we care about. Okay. Step 4, schedule and systematize. You have your blog articles, right? They're all in your Google Doc. You go to your website platform. I have WordPress. I create a new post. It's like creating a new web page on my website, but it's presented as a blog post. I copy and paste the text into that post. I format each of the headings using the H2, H3, whatever heading formatting tools. Add an image, add a call to action at the end of the blog article, sign up for my email list, whatever you want to do if you have a lead magnet or something like that. And then I schedule the blog article for when I want it to go live, when I want it to be published live. Do it for the second blog article for that month, and then the third. This should all take you no more than an hour because the text is already written. Maybe it'll take longer if you decide to edit it at this point. But again, set a timer for an hour or 2 hours, whatever you want to spend, and get it done. It doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be done. So, there, you've got all 4 blog articles scheduled to go live on your website for that month. Now you go over to a social media scheduling tool. I like Buffer or Metricool. There's a million of them out there, but those are the two that have, I think, really robust free plans. Buffer lets you schedule to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and some others for free. Metricool does the same, but not for LinkedIn. If you want to schedule posts to LinkedIn on Metricool, you have to use their paid plan. Okay, so you get an account with one of these scheduling tools. You go in, you look at the first, say, LinkedIn post on Buffer on Monday. You copy and paste the post that you wrote up into Monday and you schedule it to post. Then you go and do Wednesday. Then you go and do Friday. You schedule all of those to post for each article for each of the 4 weeks. And that's it, right? That should take no more than an hour, hour and a half if you're still learning how to use that system, but it's all done, right? At that point, you have your blog articles scheduled to go live. You have all your social media posts scheduled to go live for the entire month. And then finally, you go to your email service provider. This is Kit, Flowdesk, MailChimp, right? That's what I mean when I say email service provider. I use Kit. I used to use MailerLite, but it had a lot of issues. I found there were a lot of glitches that caused me some headaches. So I went over to Kit. They call these emails broadcasts. Basically, it's an email you send to your entire list or a portion of your list or whatever. You can schedule it ahead of time. You copy and paste your email text into there. You schedule it to go out and you're ready to go. I believe that you can do all of this on Kit's free plan. I believe you can send broadcasts to your list on their free plan. I will put my affiliate link for Kit in the show notes. So if you're curious about them, sign up, check it out. Let me know if you have questions, but I really like them. I found them to be a good company to work with. They have really great support as well. So if you have issues, you can get in touch with them. All right. One last suggestion I would make here is for your social media posts, if you're on Instagram, obviously you need to have some kind of image to go along with your post. You can also use images on LinkedIn, but their text only content seems to be doing fairly well there too. So if you're on Instagram or you want to create an image, you can use a free account with Canva and create a template. So create a standard template image that has your brand colors for the background, that has the font styles that you like, whatever. Just create a template that you can reuse for every post so that you're not having to redesign over and over again different images for your posts. Or maybe you create, say, 3 templates, right? And you have a Monday template, a Wednesday template, and a Friday template, or something like that. Just keep them and save them. And then all you're having to do is change the text in the template and then save the file. And you can attach it in Buffer or whatever tool you use for your social media posts. So that's one way if you want to spice up your posts and get a little creative and artistic, is to do it that way. But again, be smart and use the template. Okay, that's the bulk of my advice here. Again, I know it's a lot of information. It is something that you will get better at, right? It's going to be confusing at first. It's going to take you longer at first. It is going to drain you at first. But unlike the practice that I described at the beginning of the episode, where I was just randomly making reels on Instagram and spending an hour on my tiny iPhone trying to figure out how to edit text and clip videos and cut the sound and all that stuff, which drove me nuts and was exhausting and took up too much time. This is a system that you can implement every month and get better at it. You can get faster at it and it will get easier and it will result in better content. So you can pay attention to your themes. You can pay attention to developing your personal brand. You can pay attention to the quality of your writing and the tone of your writing and the messaging that you want to get across. You're not just doing it all randomly when you have a few minutes because you're waiting in the carpool line, right? All of this in running your business, this needs to be strategic. You can't just fly by the seat of your pants. And I promise you, I say that from experience. It is not the way to do things. It's not the way to go. So try it out. Try this system, say, for 3 or 4 months and see if you get better. See if you enjoy it. Okay, maybe you won't enjoy it ever, really, but it'll be less painful than it was when you started out. My last piece of advice here, I'll call it step 5, but really it's kind of some overall advice for you. And that is to protect your energy, to protect your mental space, to protect your mindset. Set boundaries. Okay. You don't have to be on every platform. You don't have to post every day. You don't even have to release a blog post every week. It could be one blog post a month and then several, maybe 2 social media posts per week that all draw from that one blog post for the month. It's totally up to you and what your schedule is and how much time you have to devote to this. But it is important, right? It is, even if we have clients coming in regularly, it is important to continue marketing ourselves because those clients will eventually dry up and we want to make sure that we have other people in the pipeline who are on their way to hiring us. I also want you to focus on where your clients are, not where you feel pressured to be. I know it can feel like everybody's on Instagram, so we have to be there, or everybody's on TikTok, so we have to be there. But you, as an academic entrepreneur, are most likely serving unique clients, right? PhDs, grad students. I don't, we're different people. It doesn't, maybe we are on TikTok just for fun, but we have no interest in looking for an editor on TikTok or something, right? So think about where people are going to get information about what it is that you do and where they're spending their time. Also, think about which of those platforms you enjoy being on because you don't want to commit yourself to a platform that you absolutely hate. The last point that I want to make here is do not get wrapped up in vanity metrics. It is so easy to get on social media and to get sucked in to this idea that we have to have more views, we have to have more followers, we have to have more likes. Look at this person over here. She's got 100,000 followers. How do I get to that? I'm never going to get there. What I'm making isn't good enough. Why isn't the algorithm picking it up? Believe me, I have been there. Social media, we all know, is terrible for your mental health. So don't get wrapped up in that stuff because look, let's be real. These people who are influencers, their role is to create content. Their role is to create engagement, to inspire engagement. But you are not an influencer. You are not a person who is creating content for the purpose of creating content. You are creating content to let people know that you exist, to let your ideal clients know that you exist, and to persuade them to hire you and pay you money. And the dirty little secret of Instagram and all these platforms of influencers is that there are so many influencers who have hundreds of thousands of followers and they are not making any money. They are not monetizing anything. All they are getting is followers, okay, and likes. That is not you. You are a business owner. I don't care if you have 200 followers on Instagram. If those people are converting to clients, that is all that matters. So forget about the likes, forget about the views. No matter what I did making reels on Instagram, nothing worked. I always got maybe 400 or 500 views, and those people weren't really converting anyway. So it just was not a good strategy for me. What I want you to pay attention to, if you have to look at metrics, is things like saves and shares. Okay, if somebody saves your post, it means that they find it valuable, that it resonated with them. If they share your post, it means that they thought someone else would be interested in it, that they find it valuable and they thought their friend or their colleague might be interested. If you have to look at metrics, those are the ones that matter. But really, what you need to pay attention to is how many people are sending you a DM and wanting to work with you or asking about your pricing. How many people are following the call to action that you offered in your post on LinkedIn, and they're going to your email list and signing up for your newsletter or your freebie, your lead magnet? That's what we want. And really, ultimately, that's what we should be doing in our social media posts, is driving people to our email list. Amy Porterfield is a very famous online course coach who makes 8 figures a year, has been doing this a long time. One of her favorite quotes is, "Do not build your house on rented land." And that is exactly what social media is. It's rented land. Facebook and whoever can take away your account and change the algorithm anytime they want. You need to be driving people to your email list, which you control. Then you have control over the information you share with them, how you reach them, and that's what's most important. So, as a final thought here, just remember this is going to take time. We're not going to have a video go viral and everybody's going to hire you to be their editor. That's not how this works. Not in the real world. It's going to take time for you to get used to developing this system and practicing it. It's going to take time for those algorithms out there to figure out what you're about, what kinds of people like you. It's going to take time for you to figure out your brand voice and to figure out who your ideal clients really are and how you should talk to them in a way that resonates with them, but also feels really authentic to you, right? That's a process that takes a long time and a lot of practice, and a lot of just doing this over and over again is figuring out what you want your brand voice to sound like when you put it out there in the world as a business owner. So if you have an academic business already and you want to grow it and thrive with other academics who are just like you, please check out my mastermind group. It's called the Academic Entrepreneurs Studio. It is a space where we meet twice a month on Zoom with a group setting, but everybody gets individual hot seat coaching, and we work through all of the challenges that you face as an academic entrepreneur who's growing, who's scaling, and most importantly, you don't have to do this alone. So go to acadiaediting.com/studio or send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to connect you or set up a discovery call to see if you'd be a good fit for the studio. If you're just starting out and you're thinking about the business that you might want to launch, taking these first steps, get my free workbook, Map Your Academic Business, at acadiaediting.com/map. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week.
If you're unhappy in academia and you think you might be a good editor or writing coach, check out my course, Becoming an Academic Editor. This digital course is paired with a 12-week group coaching program to support you through your decision to leave academia or not, and to start building a profitable and rewarding academic editing business. Learn more by going to acadiaediting.com/become an editor. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.